Are you aware that fluoride is in our public drinking water?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I wasn't.
No?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm aware of this.
Yes, I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Are you aware that fluoride is in our public
Yes,
drinking
I
water?
am.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not a good thing though?
No.
I'm aware of it, yeah. Yeah. Now we are, yes.
Why do you think they put fluoride in the water?
Well, perhaps they want to keep the water clear or something.
I have no idea.
All right, you will note here where the fluorine has just been introduced that there is a distinct stimulation of all the cells as they react to the poison. This we take to be a defense mechanism. Then things begin to slow up and reproduction is definitely inhibited. Here we have another demonstration of the destruction of cells by a perfusion of 1 part in 30 million. Notice the swelling of the mitochondria in the body of the cells. Notice the compaction of the material in the center or vital spot, which we call the nucleus of the cells. That too is evidence of injury. Note the swelling of the membranes around the cells. This makes it impossible for them to absorb foodstuff. Note they're shriveling up now. There are no cells dividing. All is becoming still. Most of the cells are dead or dying. This demonstrates the toxicity of this material.
Through the lips and past the gums and into the stomach in seconds. It's a drink of water, plus a little hydrofluorosilic acid, a chemical so corrosive and toxic it carries a warning label. Since 2002, the city has been injecting it into the water supply in an effort to stem tooth decay.
The one clear, proven way of keeping people's teeth healthier, reducing decay, is community water fluoridation.
The American Dental Association says studies dating back to the 1940s show a correlation between high concentrations of fluoride and a lack of cavities.
We know that it continues to work anywhere from a 20 to a 40% reduction in tooth decay.
The ADA stance on fluoridated water hasn't changed, but what has changed in the last 9 years is the growth of research which says ingesting fluoride may be harming rather than helping.
It accumulates in your bones and other places as well. Those gums look good.
Dr. Griffin Cole won't use fluoride in his Austin dental office.
No fluoride. I mean, I don't have any kind of fluoridated toothpaste here in the office. We don't do any fluoride treatments, never have. I don't recommend it. I openly tell my patients that.
Cole says despite the lack of fluoride, there's been no increase in cavities in his patients.
Drinking water with fluoride in it does not have any beneficial effect to the teeth whatsoever.
And San Antonio's Metro Health Department studies appear to back that up. After 9 years and $3 million of adding fluoride, research shows tooth decay hasn't dropped among the poorest of Bexar County's children. It has only increased, up 13% last year. 1 out of 2 children in the Head Start program who were checked for cavities had some. Also on the increase is fluorosis, or staining of the teeth. Drink a lot of fluoridated water and you run the risk of these permanent splotches. In fact, fluorosis is up 41% across the nation. It's so prevalent, the Centers for Disease Control warns parents about mixing baby formula with fluoridated water, a warning that is at odds with the ADA.
Our diet is such that we need everything that we can do to prevent tooth decay. The bad news is you might have a little white spots on your teeth, but the good news is you're not going to have any cavities.
But recent studies from the Centers for Disease Control say there's no clear evidence that adding fluoride to water does anything. And even one of the ADA's own researchers has concluded that fluoride, at best, works when it is applied topically to teeth. In 2006, the National Academy of Science reported that even at low levels, ingesting fluoride increases bone fractures and contributes to diabetes, brittle bones, and thyroid dysfunction. Dr. Laura Pressley says she learned that the hard way.
About 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism.
With the diagnosis, she began taking a regimen of drugs to control it. Thyroid disease is not something that runs in her family, so Pressley investigated.
And I do have fluorosis in my teeth and the white discoloration. And so I know I grew up with fluoride in my tap water as a child.
As a chemist, Pressley says her research pointed to fluoride. So she took it out, all of it, through water filters and a change in diet. And she says when fluoride disappeared, so did her symptoms.
I was on migraine medication, I was on allergy medication, I was on thyroid medication. I take no medications at all today, and that is shocking because I was on so much 3 years ago.
This compound that the city's adding is actually many times more toxic than lead. It's nearly as toxic as arsenic.
In Austin, fluoride opponents have taken their fight to City Hall. They want a warning label, at least on the water bill, that mirrors the warning that comes from the company. It's a first step, they say, in joining the 250 communities that have stopped fluoridation completely.
Let's get the warning on the label, on our city bill, and let's just get it out of the water. It's time.
Fluoride should never be added to our water supply, and there are plenty of compelling reasons why. Fluoride harms the environment. 99% of fluoride added to water never touches a tooth. It ends up on your lawn, or down your shower drain or toilet. The result is waste that pollutes the environment. Fluoridation chemicals are toxic even at low doses. There are two compounds used for fluoridating water supplies today, namely sodium silica fluoride and hydrofluorosilic acid. These are the waste products from the wet scrubbing systems of the fertilizer industry and are classified as hazardous wastes. Fluoride is also the only unregulated drug that is forced as a mass medication on the population, with no control of dosing or frequency. In February 2014, researchers from Harvard University listed fluoride as one of the top developmental neurotoxicants. 37 studies showed a link between fairly modest fluoride exposure and lowered IQ in children. The poison warning on toothpaste labels is enough to sound the alarm. A mere 1/4 milligram of toothpaste ingested and you are advised to call the poison control. Beware, that could be the same amount found in 1 glass of fluoridated water. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention admits that 41% of adolescents now have dental fluorosis, which occurs from an excess of fluoride. This is a condition where tooth enamel becomes progressively discolored and mottled. Dental fluorosis is not just a cosmetic issue. It can affect other tissues, such as your bones and brain, if they've been overexposed to fluoride as well. These problems are a real health threat, prompting 98% of Europe to not fluoridate its water. Fluoride can harm you by damaging your bones and brain, lowering your IQ, causing thyroid dysfunction, and harming your teeth, contrary to what is promoted. You can find this substance in your tap water, in your toothpaste, and even in pesticide and fertilizer residue on the food you eat. There are different ways you can avoid fluoride and its potential side effects. Stop drinking fluoridated water. Teach your child not to swallow toothpaste. Avoid using fluoridated salt, and stick to raw, organic, wholesome food instead of processed goods. Ask the pharmacist if your medication contains fluoride. It's high time to get fluoridation chemicals out of the public water supply. When over 99% is sent down the drain and into the environment, it hardly touches a tooth and provides the much heralded benefits. If experts and consumers are convinced of the benefits fluoride may provide, then it should be kept in the toothpaste, where it can be applied topically and out of the clean water supply. There is no logical reason to ingest this toxic poison in the form of drinking water.
All right, you will note here where the fluorine has just been introduced that there is a distinct stimulation of all the cells as they react to the poison. This we take to be a defense mechanism. Then things begin to slow up and reproduction is definitely inhibited. Here we have another demonstration of the destruction of cells by a perfusion of 1 part in 30 million. Notice the swelling of the mitochondria in the body of the cells. Notice the compaction of the material in the center or vital spot, which we call the nucleus of the cells. That too is evidence of injury. Note the swelling of the membranes around the cells. This makes it impossible for them to absorb foodstuff. Note they're shriveling up now. There are no cells dividing. All is becoming still. Most of the cells are dead or dying. This demonstrates the toxicity of this material. In summary, I wish to make it very clear again that this film, which you have just seen, is a graphic record of what we and Drs. Berry and Trillwood have seen in our cultures when they were perfused with dilute solutions of sodium fluoride. This film itself is presented here only to show that mammalian cells in tissue cultures can be and are damaged by fluorides, and some even killed when their contact with sodium fluoride is in the concentration of 1 part in 30 million. And we do have photographic records showing almost the same thing in 1 part in 60 million. Poisonous sodium fluoride in these concentrations may not be toxic enough to kill the cells or to destroy an organ or possibly the individual himself. Nevertheless, in human bodies, such poisons are subtle, insidious, and if prolonged over months and years, as in this case where fluoridated water is being used, chronic disorders and upsets of function in one or more of the vital organs may ensue. Outward manifestations of such toxic effects may not be apparent at the time to the victim or to his physician. But the constant drinking of fluoridated water may bring about a gradual accumulation of damaged and scarred tissue in the various organs, resulting in the production of many vague complaints in some or in nearly all parts of the body. This makes it most difficult for the physician to diagnose unless one is very alert to the effects of fluoridated water and its consumption. To sum up all this, then, one is forced to conclude that the safety of fluoridation has not yet been proved. The experiments that you have just seen cast most serious doubt on the safety of fluoridation. We feel compelled to agree with the Congressional Committee on Food and Drugs and Chemicals, who, after extensive investigations under the Honorable James J. Delaney of New York, way back some years ago, 1952, questioned the safety of fluoridation and urged caution. And above all, they emphasized the need for more research, even before anyone would consider fluoridation. To all this, we most heartily do agree. The proponents of fluoridation have not produced this research. The safety of fluoridation still needs to be proved. And we who have made this film from over 24,000 photographs in continuity under the microscope at intervals of exactly 39 seconds between each film, bring you this demonstration of toxic effects of fluoridation. We have only begun our research into the effects of drinking fluoridated water. We ask for your support.
Did you know that in the United States, over 60% of all municipal water supplies have sodium fluoride added to them? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't aware of that fact, because we don't receive any kind of notification on our water bill. We don't get any kind of notice that we have to sign off on. We're not told at all. And we're definitely not given the option to opt out. Now keep in mind, this is the same substance that when added to toothpaste requires a warning label. Now if you use fluoridated toothpaste, take a look at the back. You'll find a warning that says something like this. Warning, keep out of reach of children under 6 years of age. If you accidentally swallow more than used for brushing, seek professional help or contact poison control immediately. Now they're required to put that label on there for a reason. Fluoride is established as a poison, and at high enough doses it can kill you. Now what they don't talk about is the effects with low exposures, and that's what I'm going to go over in this video. Now I've spent quite a bit of time researching this subject, and I made a collection of links to established medical papers, to the abstracts at least, and I'm going to be posting them at the bottom. So I recommend that if you have any doubts about the facts that I'm talking about here, that you check the links and verify it for yourself, because I'm not making this stuff up. Now the official justification for fluoridating the water supply is to lower the occurrence of cavities in the population. Now if you do serious research on the subject, you'll find that there's no strong empirical evidence linking the fluoridation of a water supply and the reduction of cavities in the population at all. However, there are studies showing the adverse effects of drinking that same fluoride over a long period of time. Now, before we go into any of the specifics, I want you to stop and think about it for a second yourself, just on a simple common sense level. Does it make sense to drink fluoride to help your teeth? I mean, most people already use fluoridated toothpaste, and then you're applying the fluoride directly where it belongs, supposedly, and directly to the teeth. Now, if you're drinking water, it's passing over your teeth, but the majority of the concentration is going to end up in your system. You're actually going to be ingesting it. So it's kind of like drinking sunscreen to help prevent a sunburn. Now, if you think I'm a lone extremist here, I want you to consider this. I'm going to read off a list of countries which have officially banned water fluoridation. China, Austria, Belgium, Finland, Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, Japan. Now this definitely isn't a comprehensive list. It's 98% of European countries which have banned fluoridation, and there's probably other countries that I just wasn't able to find information on. Now if water fluoridation was actually effective, wouldn't we be hearing about higher rates of cavities and tooth problems in these countries? Now there is an awful lot of pro-fluoridation propaganda out there, but they never talk about this. They never talk about the actual empirical evidence to back up their claims. They just act like it's already proven. Now, even if there was strong empirical evidence showing that fluoridating the water supply could actually reduce the cavities of a population, it still would not be worth it or ethical once you understand the biological effects of fluoride when it's ingested. Did you know that water fluoridation has been linked to higher rates of bone cancer, to higher rates of osteoarthritis, and to repetitive stress injury? It's also been shown to have genotoxic effects, which means it causes genetic damage. It's also been shown to increase the concentration of lead in the blood of children, strangely enough. Now we're just getting started here. It gets more interesting. There's been studies, and I'm going to link to one of them below, that show that it causes significant damage to the reproductive system and can basically lead to infertility. Now fluoride is also a neurotoxin, and there's been significant animal testing which has shown that exposure to fluoride can cause ADD-like symptoms, attention deficit disorder, or sluggishness, and a reduced IQ. The reduction of IQ is also confirmed by studies done in China where children who had been exposed environmentally through mining to sodium fluoride were compared to children in a town nearby which hadn't been exposed, and they found a significant point difference in the IQ of the children in the town that were exposed. Now fluoride also has other more subtle effects on the brain as well. Those effects were not missed by Hitler, who happened to be the first to actually institute water fluoridation, and he did so in the concentration camps in order to make the prisoners more docile and less able to resist. Now, as is often the case when I make this kind of videos, my intention here is not to be the end-all reference for this subject. If you care about your health, and if you care about the health of your family, then it's up to you to do the research. Now, once you are convinced that there is a problem, that we are being poisoned through our water system, the question is this: what are we going to do about it? Now, obviously, the first step is to find out if your city actually does put fluoride in the water. Chances are that it does. If that is the case, then the next step is to find a way to stop drinking it. Now, that's not always as easy as it might sound, because the Brita water filters and that low-end kind of water filters that you'll find at, say, Walmart, don't actually remove fluoride. They don't even consider fluoride to be a toxin that needs to be removed. In most towns, there are water dispenser systems that you can go and pay 35 cents a gallon or something like that to get filtered water, filling up your own jug that doesn't have fluoride in it. Or you can lay down the big bucks and get, like a Berkey water filter, one of those high-end filters that actually specifically claims to get the fluoride out. And keep that in mind. If it doesn't claim to get the fluoride out, then it doesn't. Now, to stop poisoning yourself and your family is important. It's the first step, but that's not enough. Even if you're not drinking that water yourself, it's not okay that they're poisoning the rest of the population. And that has a direct effect on society, because it's affecting their neurological development, it's affecting their IQs, and it's leading to a dumbing down of the population. Now, the upside here is that this is something we can affect on a local level, because water fluoridation is decided on a city-by-city basis. I think it's time that we as individuals do some investigation, find out who's in charge of the water fluoridation system in our individual towns, and put some political pressure on them. Now, for those of you who find the implications of what I'm saying here hard to swallow, I want to leave you with this short little snippet to put things in context. Now, I want you to see this, because when you go out doing research about fluoride, you're going to find a lot of pro-fluoride propaganda, people telling you how great it is that we're putting fluoride in the water. Now, this little propaganda piece cooked up by the cigarette companies may seem ridiculous to us now, but in the 50s, it wasn't ridiculous because people didn't know better, so it worked. Someday, history's going to look back at water fluoridation, and it's going to seem just as ridiculous.
A responsible consulting organization reports this study by a competent medical specialist and his staff on the effects of smoking Chesterfields. A group of people smoked only Chesterfields for 6 months in their normal amount, 10 to 40 a day. 45% of the group have smoked Chesterfields from 1 to 30 years for an average of 10 years each. At the beginning and end of the 6 months period, each smoker was given a thorough examination, including x-rays. The examination covered the sinuses, nose, ears, and throat. After a thorough examination of every member of the group, the medical specialist stated, "It is my opinion that the ears, nose, throat, and accessory organs of all participating subjects examined by me were not adversely affected in the 6 months period by smoking the cigarettes provided." Remember this report and buy Chesterfields, regular or king size, premium quality Chesterfield.
Are you aware that fluoride is in our public drinking water?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. No, I wasn't.
No?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm aware of this.
Yes, I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Are you aware that fluoride is in our public
Yes,
drinking
I
water?
am.
Yeah? It's not a good thing, though?
No.
I'm aware of it, yeah. Yeah. Now we are, yes.
Why do you think they put fluoride in the water?
Well, perhaps they want to keep the water clear or something.
I have no idea.
My teeth. The enamel on my teeth. Yes. Perhaps to prevent decay, yeah.
I think they put it in the drinking water like back in the day, around the time that penicillin came out as like an oral sort of preventative sort of thing. The same reason that it's in toothpaste and the stuff that you get your teeth clean and all that other stuff.
I don't know, to give it a better taste, to clean it. I don't know.
Does it kill bacteria at all?
Clean it out, I guess.
Is it good for your teeth? Some part of your teeth, I heard?
To my understanding, is to actually, I don't know, sort of clean it, but I think it's all about population control, right?
They tell you it's because it helps, I think, strengthen your teeth enamel, but I have no idea why they really put it in there. I'm not sure.
So, do you feel it's good and safe for us?
Well, I know that we have some of the safest drinking water in the world.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like chemicals being added to things that like don't need to be there. If we already have fluoride in toothpaste, then I don't see why we have to actually be ingesting it. Because you're not actually supposed to ingest it. That's why you spit the toothpaste out, right? So.
No.
Why do you feel that way?
Well, everything that's extra in the water, I don't think that's a good idea.
I would guess if it's in the water, it's because they did some studies and they think it's safe enough.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, on the flip side, when I go to the dentist, I just don't get my teeth cleaned with fluoride anymore because it causes rot and all that other good stuff.
No, probably not.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, well, we live in a first world country, so I doubt it would be a bad thing. I doubt they would want to poison citizens of Canada and Toronto especially.
Well, I know in like dental lab we're supposed to spit it out. Is it bad? Like I'm assuming it's bad for us that we're ingesting it.
For us?
I don't think it's safe at all. It's a poison.
Sodium fluoride, which is what they use, it's a poisonous chemical. It's been scientifically proven to do more harm than good. How does that make you feel about it being in our water?
Well, I would prefer to drink bottled water.
Yeah?
I don't want to drink tap water.
It's kind of creepy, actually, knowing that now.
That's a little alarming.
Not good.
Yeah?
Well, it's really hard to escape because, I don't know if you know, it's also in almost all bottled water. So you have to make sure you look on the front tags of your bottles for 0.0 ppm.
Shit. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I'm blown away. I can't argue that. That's messed up then.
Well, worried about, like, nobody knows about it and it's in there.
That's kind of concerning.
I feel terrible about it, but what can you do?
It's unacceptable.
There's not really anything we can do about it.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking that actually.
Yeah. How does that make you feel about knowing that it's in the water?
Iffy. I don't know.
It seems the general public does not know a whole lot about fluoride, and many are questioning its overall safety. Sodium fluoride, sodium silicate fluoride, and fluorosilic acid, all used in dental offices, toothpaste, and water fluoridation, are toxic waste substances created from the creation processes in the fertilizer, steel, nuclear, and aluminum industries. These artificial substances should not be confused with the natural occurring fluoride element. Contrary to popular belief, fluoride used in fluoridation practices is not a pharmaceutical-grade substance, but instead industrial toxic waste. When these industries were faced with the problem of how to legally dispose of the excessive amount of toxic waste they were producing, Alcoa, the Aluminum Company of America, the largest producer of fluoride at the time, hired the services of scientist Gerald J. Cox to discover whether fluoride could be beneficial for preventing tooth decay. Gerald Cox, with vested interest, concluded that since the natural fluoride element can help in preventing tooth decay, these poisonous chemicals can also. After the release of Cox's claims, the fluoride waste these industries produced began being trapped in the smokestacks of the factories, collected, put into barrels, and sold to municipalities to add to their drinking water. Before these industries were trapping fluoride emissions, the fluoride pollution was scorching vegetation, killing crops, and crippling livestock. Today, this very same toxic chemical is ingested by millions each day through public water supplies. While these industries solved their waste problems and began profiting, communities are now ingesting an extremely toxic chemical. You most commonly hear of fluoride being used in the dental office or in fluoridated toothpaste, as it is believed to help prevent tooth decay. The unproven theory behind the use of fluoride on teeth is that it combines with tooth enamel to make the teeth harder and more resistant to acid attacks. Hydroxyapatite, a form of calcium on the teeth, is susceptible to too much acid and will break down, leaving teeth exposed to decay. It's assumed that fluoride creates a shield for the hydroxyapatite and with fluoride being more resistant to acid, it helps protect the teeth. All of these methods apply to fluoride being used topically. We also find the systemic use of fluoride through adding it to public drinking water. In theory, putting fluoride in the water will allow the fluoride to be ingested, pass through the body, and find its way to the teeth so the tooth enamel can be hardened. It is believed that since the use of fluoride, dental and oral health has increased greatly, and it should all be credited to the use of fluoride. Further, although fluoride is recognized as a highly toxic poison by regulation boards, it is still approved and nominated as one of the top 10 great medical innovations of our time by the Center for Disease Control. According to Christopher Bryson, author of the book The Fluoride Deception, fluoride science is corporate science, fluoride science is DDT science, it's asbestos science, it's tobacco science. Simply put, fluoride science is not science or scientific at all. It's distorted science made up by political officials who have a completely different agenda in mind other than public health. In fact, the information we have been fed about fluoride, its effectiveness, and its purpose is all highly in question. Fluoride was added to drinking water in an attempt to lower cavity rates in the late 1940s, as oral health was not up to par. When fluoride was added to public drinking water, it wasn't a whole lot long after that dental records were starting to get better. However, as the graph shows, even countries where the water was completely unfluoridated, the amount of cavities dropped at the exact same rate or better. If we look even further into ingesting fluoride through the drinking water, data shows it has no benefit to the teeth whatsoever. 98% of Europe is completely opposed to having fluoride added to their water supply, versus a great percentage of North America being fluoridated. The dental records in Europe show fewer cavities and tooth decay than what occurs in North America. To put the nail in the coffin of fluoridated drinking water, in Kuopio, Finland, water was fluoridated from 1959 to 1992. As public concern raised about the use of fluoride, it was removed from the water supply in 1992, and dental records got better. With no clear benefit at all, we continue to pump this highly toxic chemical into our water supplies. What about fluoride used topically versus systemically? In other words, fluoride that comes from toothpaste and the dental office. There is no data that shows fluoride used in fluoridation practices helps prevent tooth decay. Even in topically used situations, data has shown that fluoride actually rots teeth as opposed to helping them. Teeth rot when the enamel on the outside of the tooth becomes compromised and acid begins to eat away at the inside of the tooth. If acid sits on the outside of the tooth, over time, it begins to kill the adenosine diphosphatase and the enamel weakens. The problem with fluoride is, once it comes in contact with teeth, it kills the adenosine diphosphatase, which in turn compromises tooth enamel. As the findings of chemist researcher Dr. Gerard F. Judd show, not only does he find that fluoride rots the teeth, but there is absolutely no need for fluoride in creating strong tooth enamel. When looking at the dental records of Americans and Ugandans, Judd found the following. 30% of American youths ages 8 to 10 have no cavities. 100% of Ugandan youths ages 6 to 10 have no cavities. The reason Ugandan youths have 3 times better teeth than American youths is because they do not consume as many acidic foods, have no fluoride in their drinking water, have regular meals rather than sipping on acidic drinks all day, have more calcium and phosphate in their diet, and have fewer dentists to work on their teeth. So not only is there no evidence to show that fluoride helps prevent tooth decay, but there is plenty that shows it is quite harmful for the teeth. Fluoride is also responsible for much more than just tooth decay. Dental fluorosis is a tooth condition caused by fluoride. Fluoride is the only contributor in the creation of dental fluorosis. Dental fluorosis shows up as white or brown spots on the teeth and can also break away and pit at the enamel. Dental fluorosis is typically caused by fluoride exposed to the teeth between birth up to the age of 8. As a result of the use of fluoride, according to the CDC, dental fluorosis is found in 32% of American children. In fact, the effect fluoride can have on developing teeth is so immense that the American Dental Association and Center for Disease Control both state that parents should not be using fluoridated water for their baby's drinking water or formula. Those with evidence of dental fluorosis can also count on having too much fluoride in other areas of the body as well. Skeletal fluorosis is also common when the bones become overfluoridated. Having too much fluoride in the body poses risks to the organs and greatly increases the rate of cancer. We understand that the fluoride we use in toothpaste, water, and at the dentist is all toxic poison. We understand that there is no science to show these chemicals prevent tooth decay, but that they in fact harm teeth. Safety boards and our governments both know this very well. So why? Why do they continue to pump this toxic chemical into our water supply? The fluoride story starts in 1939, when Alcoa, the Aluminum Company of America, then the world's largest producer of sodium fluoride, and the Dow Chemical Company transferred its technology to Germany. At the end of World War II, the US government sent Elliot Perkins, a research worker in chemistry, biochemistry, physiology, and pathology, to take over the chemical plants in Germany. Perkins quickly learned from the German scientists that they had devised a scheme during World War II using fluoride to medicate water in order to mind control the populations of cities they had taken over. It was found that fluoridation caused slight damage to a specific part of the brain and neurotransmitters, making it more difficult for the person affected to defend his freedom, causing the individual to become more docile towards authority. Hitler's eugenics program was no secret to anyone. The CIA quickly picked up where he left off, making the chemical control of an entire nation a main part of their research. As research completed by chemist Charles E. Perkins shows, any person who drinks artificially fluoridated water for a period of 1 year or more will never be the same person mentally or physically.
I began to realize that fluoridation was a problem. One of the first things I did is I looked at my tube of toothpaste. It says drug facts. I know it's a drug. If I were to give it to you, it'd have to be a prescription. That's for swallowing. When it comes to toothpaste, it also says don't swallow. And if you do swallow, contact a poison control center. Well, the amount of fluoride that they're talking about is a pea-sized amount of fluoride. You probably don't see that in advertisements, a pea-sized amount of fluoride. Usually when I see an advertisement, it looks more like a Dairy Queen ice cream cone. That amount is 1/4 milligram of fluoride. Well, that's the same amount of fluoride as what we find in 8 ounces of water. 1/4 milligram of fluoride, 1/4 milligram of fluoride. Don't swallow. If you do, call the Poison Control Center.
We're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
You have to begin to look at things for what they truly are. When we truly look at fluoride, we find that fluoride science was bought and paid for by the companies who were producing the most of it. It was a way for them to dispose of the toxic waste while profiting. Fluoride does absolutely nothing to prevent tooth decay. Of course, all of this benefits those in charge as well, as it creates a mentally docile nation who will believe what is said to them and do what they are told without question. The hard-to-swallow truth is, fluoride is used to chemically control human beings. Not only does fluoride cause issues for the teeth and mental health, but is highly linked and sometimes the direct cause of cancer, kidney disease, thyroid issues, bone disease, arthritis, immune system deficiencies, and the lowering of IQ. In fact, 18 separate human studies have been completed in China, India, Iran, and Mexico that all conclude fluoride is the direct cause of lowering IQ. You are now fully aware that fluoride is not what it seems, and you want to do something about it. So what can you do? When it comes to drinking water, it can be quite difficult to avoid fluoride at times, as it is found in the majority of bottled water as well. Find out if your city water is fluoridated or not. If your city is not fluoridated, drinking tap water versus bottled water will allow you to avoid the fluoride. But this still isn't ideal, as tap water still contains chlorine and other chemicals that aren't good for the body. The ideal situation is to purchase a water filtration system that filters out both chlorine and fluoride. Some better than others, but some also more expensive than others. Make sure the filter is capable of filtering out fluoride. In terms of toothpaste, there are many types of toothpaste out there that do not contain fluoride. Next time you're at the store, check out the various natural brands that do not contain fluoride. You can also use baking soda to brush your teeth instead of toothpaste. At the end of the day, fluoride is so heavily defended by people and some professionals because they are simply going by what they have been taught. They assume that there is actual evidence to show that fluoride is good for us and that it's safe to use. This is the same mentality we have taken towards many other things in our current world. Use materials like this documentary and others to educate your friends and family about fluoride. Gently approach your dentist with this information as well. Most professionals have no intention of harming anyone. They are only practicing what they have been taught. Many dentists have quickly changed their minds about fluoride once they have learned the truth about it. Finally, really think about why those in charge, who know full well what this chemical does, are putting it in our water. Use this same questioning when looking at other deceptions we have been fed. If you have yet to notice, we are in the midst of a mass awakening on this planet. Many are beginning to uncover truths about our world and why things are the way they are. Many are also beginning to realize the biggest deception of all. Bigger than fluoride, economics, education, religion, and so forth. The biggest deception we have been told is that we are a body and a mind, and that's it. There's nothing more and nothing else to our reality. The truth is, you are much more. So much more that if we figured it out, the game would be up for those in charge. This is precisely why our water is fluoridated.
In case you find these videos useful, please share them with others so we can help them too. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more videos and updates. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Peace.